Hello there and welcome to the news. I am Sergio Brito. The headlines: Health Minister declares the outbreak of polio type 2 in the Gambia. Vice President and other government officials embark on peace tour. Our guest today is political commentator Sulayman Ben Suwareh. But first, we'll take a look at the newspapers. There are reports that there is a fresh suit against IEC over diaspora registration. 5 diasporans have filed a fresh suit at the High Court in Banjul against the Independent Electoral Commission, seeking an order to compel the IEC to register Gambians outside to vote in the forthcoming December 2021 presidential election. The 5 are James Bahum, Chornonjai, Pasamba Jau, Jagan Gray Johnson, and Sidi Mohamed Sani. The applicants who reside outside the jurisdiction of the Gambia contend that the Independent Electoral Commission have conducted a general voter registration exercise and explicitly failed to register Gambians living outside the jurisdiction. And President Barrow, on the other hand, is to work with the National Assembly of the Gambia on anti-insult law. President Barrow, working with the National Assembly, hopes to eventually come up with legislation to bring a lasting solution to the abuse and insult citizens are subjected to online, according to government spokesperson Ibrahima Sankare. President Barrow had threatened to ban all opposition political activities when he wins the election in December. On Tuesday, government spokesperson Ibrahima Sankare issued a statement saying the president's statement was in fact mischaracterized. He, however, said elsewhere the president will work with National Assembly on a law around insult. Ex-finance minister counters President Barrow on FAB 35 million saga. That's Amadou Sane. The former finance minister has denied any knowledge of the 35 million that was paid to the account of the First Lady's Foundation by a Chinese company. Monies President Barrow claimed was used to charter a flight for him and his delegation to China. The transfer of the money, something amounting to $700,000 to the FAB account, and the subsequent awarding of a contract to the donating company by NAWEC have raised concern among many quoters who called it a bribe. A FAB Foundation official, Fatou Cisse, initially said they did not know how the money was transferred into their account and the matter was being investigated by officials. That's it for the papers. Let's go for a break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The Ministry of Health earlier today declared the outbreak of polio type 2 in the Gambia. Our Fatou Kamara attended the press conference in Banjul and she now files in this report.
While many countries in the sub-region continued to battle the virus, the Gambia remained polio-free for decades and was certified polio-free in 2004. However, the narrative changed today as the Minister of Health, Dr. Lamin Samate, gathered the media to declare the outbreak of poliovirus type 2 in the Gambia. Samate stated there is evidence of importation of the virus.
2 environmental samples collected from the sewage sites, one from Banjul and the other from Kotu, have tested positive for poliovirus type 2. This has created a polio outbreak situation in the country, since a single positive poliovirus case is considered an outbreak under the 2005 international health regulations, thereby requiring an urgent response to breaking the cycle of transmission. Many other countries are already affected by this type of virus in the sub-region. Sequencing results show that viruses detected in the Gambia are genetically linked to other viruses detected in the sub-region, such as in Guinea, Senegal, and Nigeria. Thus, there is evidence of importation of this virus. In line with the WHO recommendations, polio outbreak response standard operating procedures, and the International Health Regulations 2005, I officially declare this outbreak a national public health emergency.
In this regard, the ministry plans for a massive polio vaccination across the country, targeting children of 0 to 59 months. The ministry therein appealed on all parents to cooperate in the fight.
While we plan for vaccination response shortly, we have enhanced our surveillance system to increase its sensitivity and quality in tracking poliovirus cases in circulation. We are preparing for at least 2 massive supplementary polio vaccination rounds, targeting 382,908 children who are 0 to 59 months of age in each round. Our goal is to vaccinate all children 0 to 59 months in the Gambia. We implore all parents to cooperate with our vaccinators during the vaccination campaigns to enable us end this outbreak soonest.
Dr. Samate therefore said there are solid mechanisms in place to handle the situation. He reckoned there is no cause for alarm.
The Gambia has one of the best immunization programs in the sub-region. Thanks to the caregivers for being receptive of the vaccination programs. Together, we have been able to defeat many vaccine-preventable diseases. There is no cause for alarm, and we'll work together, inshallah, to break the cycle of transmission, in this case, too.
As evidence continue to position personal hygiene as one of the best ways to fight infectious diseases, the ministry encourages all Gambians to take up personal hygiene and be on the front in the preparations to fighting the virus. Fatou Kamara reporting for the Fatu Network News Review.
TAF Africa Global presents the new Tulip Gardens. TAF Tulip Gardens is set to comprise service plots in sizes ranging from 220 to 570 meters square. Deposit as low as $83,600 is only an 18-month interest-free payment plan with only 20% deposit on the service plots. Please contact 376-2333 or 776-2333. Free. Tough.
Welcome back. Vice President Dr. Aissatou Touré with other government officials embarked on a nationwide tour aimed at promoting peace and stability and sensitizing parents and youth on irregular migration. Aomati Senghor has more.
Vice President Dr. Aissatou Touré and some government officials commenced a nationwide sensitization on peace building and peaceful coexistence and migration as the nation prepares the forthcoming elections, where she stressed the importance of peace.
Peaceful coexistence and migration. Nimu altol masakunda langanioleti anala dedaro kang na masake langanio kang purka jeko ay Gambia bondi dulato dami ya lonko hannate botaje aya kodi molba folako aketa nyine la jamanu to aketa nyine lan tol nganna silo soto nyine la is very important woto ni wobe kala fonse sama singol bambandi nga sema singol beteyandi nga kata ye betaya pour nyin kam sama alsal ululal topato alial fan topato alseke good citizens
nena kon fu nek ni doona la mo kon ciap ko xamantene ya nga yoré place luy sa wërsak wala luy li la waral moy né nga def lo xamantene bu suba inshallah nit ñi dinañ ko mëna netali kon sen nguur gi lool mo tax ñom tamit ñu def sen ciemto lay katan ñu ngi def ni dinañ wax né ah diw de mo ñu kon suñu njit way li la fi defaron mu né li mo bokk na ci sen taxway tamit ak président
ñi wato ko no ibaje la mol min ya lon ko be banku dol tan wol wulitale ko to lafta seyla nanne katu ya moy Gambia be progress minna ikoy be seyna nan adun ka pleno kiyele IOM to ya la kam makoy nganati saje mo tan lulu ni woro layna mo tan woroyna kili mo jama kana ayataram me force pourena katu ko bansa kunda ala do ko manke nyinti ka fokali na mol ni murundi nan bari ninna mol tata ayatara imanta sarati silo kan itata wandi banko ko kan comme minister of youth ya sene yandala nyami ni man sula laje ntol ten dingol fayla katun tolle ngal wulu albota nyim banko le kono almujan citizen leti woto mbenda lodula anina simfa talale
ndena mu ngi leral be leji lu minister for youth sports and culture mo wax dégg la ñun duñu dem ci bitim réew di wax nit ñi dàqaleen suñu doom yi déedéet waaye xibaar bi nga xamante ne moom la ñu dëkk ci Gambia dafa tax ne ñi nga xamante ne suñu doomu réew ñi nekk ci bitim réew suñu leen bëggee déporté ñun duñu sàggane suñu doomi réew mi parce que ñoo leen jur suñu doomi yi la danañ la yoone plainte ñun ay yu tamit bokk nañ ci association boo xamante ne ñoo ñu jàppale ñu mun a delloowaat suñu doom yi ñu mun a dëkk ak ñun fii ci jàmm
kuma jamaale ka fo social media mol be kumol fola sako mol min ya lon ko nim nyim man sakunda la ko bande e ka fo ko ngadi ngol bulaje ibe bataring ibe kuring and so on waya tara ko be nyamin amanna ke wala nial ya fahamu mi yati nay ke murundi fen fen na kayto tata ye kayti kedi it ibuta jang itamata ila kayno kayto kende yata ini momang affaire soto bari banko banku na la lualum ndol fanan ninna lualum wala tinna luale katama in a democracy and its rules based so nin dol wululal nga wolong mo kana wota kabe politiko ke la kaf kon kay aljele aldimol be ye murundi nanne man sakunda make circumstances mi ya lonko wala katine kata man sakunda be wala deda kan wolon pour ka sama singol bambandi pour dingol ye tunanjang yake femfe lafta tamala yake aya tara wulita pour ka tama sila kendole kan amanta ke la backway because backway even niole wafuka ise fa no le mo fonte salilela ise fa ñoo jele motalo nay buta daming isita no jele fanan ayatara to nyalom ñini ndiro nga tarale tamo fanan mu kuleti nga tara bari ana nyalom sombe min dani kan masakunda ka min dani wolom ñinti ko ali nga katanga Gambia deda nal tolle nyanta deda la kato al tolle nyanta sila jan nin tol ke bayata mbota je nkaji ka jumalla na dindi ngollem ndima e dimayal ikaji ki wollela woto mbal dani la saya warata talal siata minu kataje jama bale ka fa aliya moyle minister for women la representative min fo yemira sukilon no mo waraw la fata je wodi atale bang fondin ke be tata ka foko man sakunda man taram ko rola wo mudiya moleti ba sakunda ba kanne bi aba kanso ma ba katakan adum aliya jele ko ro aliya moyle minister of youth KMC 25 participants na wolleta adum abe siala wotile bari ko do min kana amanka ko ka jurumi buple de nka do kule na mo le ko collect ko do le ke adum ba kata kan fen nata nse sede ya no his excellency president Barrow la ko masakunda la namu amang intestoto je na manke ka banko tambindi ngamira momo ni aje ba ko tan telema antele kan nan tele kasi adum kasi cabinet le lafta je ko indila wala tinna biraka cha tanye nabe kacha la ko nyoko he ali nga katanga kairo nin tenku ngosoto ngani yo mu minti Gambia ba jilale mbe bola bata kono le bari kairo nin tenku ngokono le nyimbe keno la woto funding kel na message mu muneti mbinadu na election o kono mbinadu na election o min kono dina ko laka ci olof mbinadu na election o min kono angalel ka fo ko foda modol selafile yal yusla pour ka fo ali finti bantale tayal jani ali al balla solle janila al balla silolle janila al balla bumolle janila al balla harajelle janila ka to ko nale do ku dulal jani ali janjani ali dula ko ten jani kata dulato bin espèce idulate sotola adum nyaato taka ke nyaadile ikala tale ka la barika ke do mandin foyo ay bam barika mol fe nga ka fondinkel bondi ya fo ko ali nga nyinke altadi mbamala kumo min ka fo ani mimbe kering nal ka social media read inata Gambia ja yaajube ka to ko mojama ka reading kele ni nata ni fata ya social media ka min fo ani tol nata nga min tarajam amo koy amo fin ibe ka sede yala woton tol minu ya lon ko mbi janne tol man ta dula soto adu mamira pour kata dula to laftale pour ka Gambia deda fon financier na millionol soto jang nganna suwollo nganna wawululal samba maka ninna mol minu be bantanga nyomo e nin lafta tamala nganna kodo bondi ngata tamo man jawya alsal hakilo tu bake katu ko funding keli ka wolle use ka tayal mala ika wolle use ko demonstration ika wolle use ka kuoke lafta example dole dilalla yalo mansakunda governance ka tama nyamin amanke ko ndam mallo nga global village lom nin Gambia yaaje ko ye taya mala dana do ika fo nyaari businessman ole ko mo kana na jande Gambia mandia ni aje mol yakelo ke nyo fay sa fukala hakilo tu yenkel yem flag red ni yem flag red la do kute soto la ibe flag la red la wala ya foko ibe Gambia sanction la munatina ha kelole biji alafta wala le bang woto natara ko alman la fi wala election is a principle of democracy wanyanta kelale ni wa election be kela altal yalla carte fay ale nasi ali yalla ndodiol ta wala ali yalla mobile ta ali yalla moy nali yalla moy nakata jawnya al salon ko wolom ali ya moy bari amanke forced nobody should interfere adu nyimman sakunda is not interfering and we will not interfere bari lafta wala ko indi lala molbe mol joj la mol yeminke mbe democracy de da ka meta mantara democracy kono adu nyin silo mimbe lari nga kan ninga tinyam faye wallahi kebal ndol kebatal sani baral to le nyantal la bayal to le be laban na jang adu nimbanko mantara settle ring amam peaceful atitala wo bakwe be kafulale adu wo bakwe na kafuta ndel nga nyim fale banko kole yala bake adu mawo dani wala tin na nyim meeting bi migration nata wala kacala jang bari migration be kacano la ayatara riwa man kacha katu kon be niaje funding kel kata environment le man conducive bari signing environment is conducive, is almost very conducive min tutaje wolom nyinti mol yeta ye bula ila interest noma ya kata nga improve amanta kala immediately bari demanding bundal min be laring saratol be laring first ika environment le deda sajing human rights respect bije good governance, freedom of speech, rule of law, reform of institutions, and also the enabling environment bije mom walafta ilafta diamula bokela so wolam sama singol to follow janding kube kenola.
Kemo Bojang, a youth councillor at KMC, spoke at the meeting.
Munia momoje ikaboni mbanko ke kafinti banda.
Mune kepo ko jise mujoge jiro modigena.
Hamola tena.
Mune kon ene burafeta wala fulak fayda.
Katun to lafta len na kuke mfal ni mbali mel basuwa.
Parce que ñun bëgg nañ def lo xamantene mu bëgg nañ jëriñ suñu wajur yi nga xamantene ñoo dessal ci gën.
Bare bi civil servant jumal le jam mel yalon ko isafo ko ye kulande kabri iritata ya fensotono isamentandino ila mol.
Waaye tey ban civil servant moo mën a wax ne man plané woon naa feature loo xamante ne su ma wàccee ci liggéey lii laa war a jël.
Woto waye mu ne tandi.
mu ne kon loolu lan la ñu waree.
problème o bi jëlee ñanta menke la mam menke.
mu ne kon problème mu fa loo xamante ne war nañu ko saafaral te saafaral.
nteman doo londe.
moom mu ne xamul ñeneen ñi de.
bari nte lafta mbaa ni mu faa fanan kontaan la.
waaye dafa bëgg a bégloo yaayam ak baayam.
Andu nalam fon ninkel mel be basirin jande want to do the same thing.
te xam naa ne ndaw yi ñu fi nekk tamit ñoom tamit dañoo bëgg a méngloo.
Sa métier kara ñaawo ñaa.
mu ne ñu mën a man jàng métier.
Bari ni environment o man conducive.
waaye suñu fekkente ne suñu béréb bi jagalu.
na métier karon fana adamo ba doyala ba.
mu ne kon suñu jàng métier bi njëriñam dina lu tuuti lool.
Na fita gara solje janne.
mu ne gis nañ garage fita.
Bari wo fital ka mun kutule teyno e fo.
waaye fita yooyu lan la ñu mënale seen bopp.
Na capental je janne.
gis nañ fi suñu capental yi.
Bari na capental ye mun kutule teyno e fo.
mu ne suñu capental yi lan la ñoo mënal seen bopp.
Na jele na fon ninkel ba technology kono.
gis nañ suñu ndaw yi nga xam ne dañoo nekk ci technology.
Ye mu nekkutu teyno e fo.
mu ne lan la ñoo mënal seen bopp.
Also at the meeting was the Minister of Youth and Sports. As the meeting also treated the issue of irregular migration, Bakary Baye advised the youth regarding the vexed phenomenon.
Parantol bengalo ne ko banko bita ka nyame.
waaye ñun ñëpp xam nañ ne réew mi moo nekk di doxee.
Kacha wala sa mol ma koy no wala sa mol bondino.
ne waxtaan moo ñu mën a dibal moo ñu mën a génne.
Fondinkel la karola.
ci wàllu ndaw yi.
Bare fanan Cairo fanan la karol.
waaye nag ci wàllu jàmm yi tamit.
Fondinkel la karol.
nee na si wàllu ndaw yi.
Lafta mi fo la wolem ko.
mu ne lu ma bëgg a wax mooy ne.
Mo fa man sa kunda ma fo moy koy kanatama.
mu ne nguur ji waxul kenn ne bul tukki.
Bare wululal fananta fo lay dingoy koy kanatama.
waaye waajur yi tamit lu ñu wax seen doom yi bul tukki.
Bantelbe min fo ka wolem.
waaye ñun lu ñu wax mooy.
Ni momo lafta tamala.
mu ne cëpp ku bëgg a tukki.
Ya kata ye kayti senengo soto ye la tiketo sang ye tay la hajo.
mu ne da nga fexe nga am sa kayit bu correct nga jënd sa ticket nga mën a doxee sa soxal.
Dadwe ni futata tamadulat.
mu ne kon ci yoonu boobu boo fa àgg ci réew tugal.
I say welcome no ye dundi la banko do.
ñoom mun nañ la dalal ñu dugal la ci seen réew.
Ye kayto soto ye doko ke ye fanna fa ye lawlula nafa.
nga am kayit yi nga am liggéey nga mën a jëriñ sa bopp jëriñ sa waajur.
Bare niya sila do ta mi yalan ko anin luwa manta.
waaye nee na boo jëlee yoon boo xamante ne ànd ak loi.
Ni futata je. ase keno le harjo soro e kayto soro bara jamma bi jele mi yalon koy tata dunje man kayto soro e ka tara refugee campol to wala dol bi jele nin luwal bu kaso e do so nyoro e tal la si do to mi yalon ko ibe famma bola jel
am na ñoo xamantene dañoo dégg ci place ñoo xamantene loi nanguy loolu
den wala ka kay te do ko soto no la
mu ne dafay tax ne ñoom duñu mën a am liggéey
ite famma koy no la
te duñu mën a dimbal seen bopp
bara hada bo dingo foye balok
waaye doomi adama il faut nga dund rek
so ni sara dulato mi yalon ko do ko man soto no
nee na soo demee béréb bi nga xamantene liggéey amu fa
ase keno le fenke mi yalon ko be wala be mako le pour se fam balundino
mu ne il faut nga def dara loo xamantene dafa mën a def la mën a dimbal
ane wala kana ke loi tiñat
mu ne loolu mooy nekk yàq réew jàmbur
police sol se dol muta
police dinañ jàpp ñeneen
ye soron
ñu tëj leen
ni yebula
suñu leen bàyyee
e ka falo koy be deport la
ñu ne dañ leen di deport
parce que loi man son prieta mola sata to eta mola banko de fentiñaje
mu ne parce que loi bëggul ne nga dem réew jàmbur nga nekk fa di fa ko fa yàq dara
hanin tol fam Gambia jang
mu ne ñun Gambia fi sax
na dol mi yalon koy kabanan dulal banko dote kanaja
mu ne suñu yeneen ñi nga xamante dañoo jógee ci yeneen réew ñëw fi
et c'est loi c'est mutan la ka fako ni na et prison save na paretal sa bondi aliya sambala botana ndame
mu ne loi mun na leen wax ne su saafee prison ba pare ngeen deport ko mu delluwaat
wo man sa Gambia la man sa kunda man sula permission la ka bo man sa kunda do to ka fako e dingol bondi la janke samba
mu ne Gambia nguur gi soxlawuñ ne permit ci yeneen réew ma pour maanaam di deport doomi jàmbur yi
woto bankala European bankol fanan
mu ne kon suuf na réew Europe
ni pareta pour ka mo deport
suñu paree di deport nit
ni pareta sa keno hani Gambia man son
bu ko defee suñu paree mën na ko def su fekkente ne Gambia sax nangu
so woto Gambia la man sa kunda
mu ne ci nguuru Gambia
ma interest sodo pour ka jeko fondinkeli muruna wonyam
mu ne lii nekkul suñu interest ne ñu gis ne ndaw yi ñu mën a ñibbee noonu
bare mo fanan na la dingo banque dingo
waaye réew ma ak doomu réew ma
bankota fola no kon tol man la fi dingol
mu ne réew mi mun ta wax ne bëgguñu suñu doom
ni ata koy fintita
mu ne soo génnee
ne am moma harjo sodo je
mu ne soo fa am warsa
Gambia nyanta mako la murunang ay fenni nja
mu ne Gambia war nañ ko jàppale mu dellu fii
anum programme bi janne
te programme yaa ngi fii
mi yalan ko masakunda le kake
loo xamante ne nguur gi moo koy def
dol bi jële mi yalan ko UN agencies la ko masakunda mako
am na ñeneen ñoo xamante ne UN agency ñoo dee dimbal nguur ci loolu
wala ci nal ka dula je like for instance tekki fi bi jan projet do ñi
mu ne comme am na projet ñu xamante ne tekki fii ñu fii
yépp fanam bi janne
mu ne yépp tamit mu fii
wol be mu projet la mi yalan ko laftel pour ka fondinke mako ni murutana
mu ne yooyu yépp dañoo nekk projet yoo xamante ne dañoo jàppale nga xamante ne ñoom lañu dellu
ni lafta pour ka mejoning
nee na soo fekkente ne da nga boo jàng métier
isa kodo joye dulato yeta e karam
mën nañu la fay xaalis ci béréb nga dem jàng métier
bara niata koy lafta pour ka business o ke fana
waaye nee na soo fekkente ne da nga bëgg a def business tamit
isa kodo dila yeta e la business o
dinañu la jox xaalis nga dem def business
Ministry of Youth and Sports and in government
mu ne Minister of Youth and Sports ak government
tol fana nga youth revolving loan sorole
mu ne ñoom tamit am nañ loan ci ndaw yi
mi yalon ko president la ya launch last year December
mi nga xamante ne président boobu moo ko ubbi last year December
up to $21 million
mu ne dem na ba $20 million
and 1 million mo nga ñi
te $20 million yooyu
mba di la funding ke la prier business okay ni lafta
joxe ndaw yi pour ñu mën a jaay
ano ali jele ko dol bi jël mi yalon ko ya sorole already
gis ngeen ne am na ñoo xamante ne benefit nañ ko already.
At the KMC meeting on Tuesday, the Vice President insisted Gambian youth must help government in national development and desist from illegal migration. She said the government is doing its best to help youth get jobs. Vice President.
Welcome back. And now I am joined by our guest on News Review today. Everyone knows him on social media, Mr. Sulayman Ben Suwareh, who is a social and political commentator. Welcome to the Fatu Network, Mr. Suwareh.
Thank you very much, Sergio, for inviting me again on your platform. And it's a privilege to always come on and have a dialogue with the viewers from your platform. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much for always honoring our invitation. Now let's go through some of the recent happenings in the country. For the past week, all we've seen on social media is the word dictator and dictator being written by Gambian social media users. This came following comments made by the Gambian President Adama Barrow that after December 4th, he's in fact going to stop all political activities. What do you make of his statement? A lot of people are saying that these are the signs of dictatorial tendencies. What do you think?
Thank you very much. I think it's unfortunate that the president does not understand what a transitional government means, because Gambians have been traumatized for 22 good years from one of the most brutal dictatorships. And I want to emphasize here, if we say one of the most brutal dictatorships, we have to understand the history of the Gambia. Gambia was not known for anything similar to this. It was introduced from 1994 onwards. The level of brutality have never been recorded in our history. Then we are there to say that it's one of the most brutal dictatorships we have ever lived. Now, if we come out from that situation and trying to transition to a better government, and to have a sitting president of a transitional government to make statements from the State House, those statements were taken seriously. And Gambians are right to worry for the statement about the statements. And the tone of voice, and that the statement was made, will have to make Gambians really and worried. It's not new that the president have been coming out very irritating and sounding very angry and agitated for what reason he knows. But this is something that Gambians take seriously, and I am glad that Gambians are alert and vigilant and ready to protect their freedoms. And this statement, as you said, I'll take it very seriously. I mean, we have to ask ourselves, why did the president make the statement? For a start, the president gave an excuse for why he made the statement. That he made the statement because of Gambia engaged in continuous politicking. Mm-hmm. But if that is a fact, who is to be blamed for that? If the president had made so, that he abide by the transitional programs, Gambia would have been calling, on the vow of, moving on to a second government, and democracy would have been very mature going on. But the president tried to instill himself, trying to entrench himself, and the president himself is the one fueling the politicization of everything in the country. And the irony is that the president was actually politicking at the State House, something that we can even say that we have not seen the time we are jamming. Constantly, every weekend, or during the week even, the president is inviting different groups, be it religious, be it tribal groups, at the State House. What is done not politicking? He is doing politicking 24/7. President is using the so-called mid farmers talk, and we know that that too is exploiting a constitutional mandate instead of going there to engage Gambians on issues that are relevant to us. But he's going out there to agitate the opposition. You cannot expect the opposition to sit back and wait while the president is going out having an advantage over them. This is an incumbency, and that's why the opposition. Yeah.
Yes, in as much as some Gambians find this statement coming from the president as disturbing, there are others who are also on board with him. They're saying that, look, there's too much politics in this country and nobody is working.
Yes, who is to be blamed? The president is to be blamed. Now, have the president ever initiated a national discourse that Gambians would discourse on issue about crime? Have the president ever initiated a discourse of youth empowerment? Have the president have any agenda or an initiative? We also have seen the issue with the Bagway. These are all issues. There are many issues that the president could have called up. We have never seen the president invite the political parties on consultations. During the COVID, we expected the president to take a leadership by inviting all stakeholders, be it the political parties and the civil society. Until the president starts to govern as a national figure, the Gambia would be polarized. He is constantly They're moving on to the verge of dividing the country further down the line. The president have never invited youths. What does he invite? He will invite the Fullers, Jolas, Serohulis, and everything else. That is completely divisive. Why the president invited Muslim elders? Why not just invite religious elders and speak? And if you, this is the issue why everything is politicized. It starts with him. Leadership is by example. Leadership is by example.
And this year, it's been very difficult to actually kind of pinpoint when campaign started, because it seems like political rallies have been going on for quite a while now. Do you think that the IEC should come up with laws to tell political parties that, look, this is the only time that you are allowed to sort of hold political rallies or campaigns?
No, I think we have to be very careful. In democracy, we have freedoms. And in any democratic country, a leadership should shape the behaviors of people. That's where the president have failed. For instance, the president gave the example of Senegal, which was completely untrue. Now, we know that Senegal is constantly politicking for the same reason, because they have a president who want to have a third-term mandate. That president, instead of concentrating on national governance, he's concentrating on partisan and personal politicking for his enthronement. This is why Senegal, we've seen on the tele, and recently we've seen the riots and everything else. You see, but until we have a government that takes national issues seriously, then the campaign period can be curtailed. This is leadership by example. But if the president goes out there trying to take an advantage, the opposition will follow. The opposition will follow. He has to lead by example. We cannot start to have laws to curtail the freedoms of the people. It's in the constitution. We have a freedom to assemble, freedom to. The only thing the government can do is to assess any permit that's applied for. And when you assess the permit, it's not based on whether the person has the right to do it. No, the assessment is whether it can be held in a safe environment. That's all the police can do. The police doesn't have the right to question your motive to hold a rally. But what the police can do is to see whether they can provide or the environment is right to have a rally. Everything will be boxed up with the president again.
I'm so glad you mentioned freedom of expression, which we will go to later. But first, I just want to take you back to this whole president statement and the government spokesperson coming out to give a different narrative or explanation as to what the president in fact said. What do you make of this whole thing, that when sometimes the president says something and then government spokesperson comes out to say this is not what he meant to say? What do you make of this whole thing?
Sergio, I'm glad you asked this question. You see, this is when we talk about holding the president accountable. Barrow does not have what it takes. You know, when Dr. Cisse said this, people take it as an insult. That was a matter of fact. You see, I'm not saying that he came by accident. No, that's an insult to people that work to make sure a process was in. Yeah, he came out through a process. But unfortunately, that's what democracy is. Democracy can produce results that that would not be favorable. But he does not have the capacity as a human being to lead a country. And the behavior, since he came into power, we have had statements. The president goes and emotionally, express himself. And instead of realizing that he's a sitting president, anything he says would hold a big influence. And the president doesn't understand that. He thinks that he can sit, with friends and speak whatever, and addressing the nation for that matter, because it was televised or it was, on social media, and people would not react to it. This is the proof that the president is not fit for purpose, and in fact he's posing a national security risk, because we cannot constantly firefight it. On whatever the president says, we have to have a press release to qualify it. What does that tell you? If the president cannot make a simple address to the nation, how do we expect that person to represent our interests in the international community? The president is talking from emotions. We ask ourselves what led him to say these things. And it's not only this. He has been saying a lot of other things, and everything is distorted. I'm talking about digging graves, and that is admitting to a crime. And other from trying to qualify his corruption. And in fact, and putting himself more into more questionable position. And how can we, as a nation, that's why we are talking about this thing. We should have been talking about how we deal with this pandemic. How do we deal with the economic recovery? Because the economy is down in the drugs, but the president everything is personal to him and the people he was with. And Gambian will be distracted, into these issues. The press release from the president's office is nothing but to address the international community. That's the fact. Because the issues that needed to be addressed, they have not addressed all those other issues, divisive issues. Why did they come out with this? Because they know that the international community will be alarmed by these statements. They know that most of the grants or the bilateral or multilateral relationship they have or going to benefit from, they will be alarmed. Those institutions will be alarmed about the statement. They came out and to try to qualify this. But again, it's amateurist because the international community are experienced to know or understand these things. They have seen it before. You cannot make the statements and come and thinking you can bring out a press statement and qualify and it's gone. No. We are in a serious problem.
Yeah, and perhaps one of the key things that some people picked from the president's statement is that freedom of expression in this country might in fact be under threat. What do you think about that? Because I have seen on the papers they're saying that the president will be working with the National Assembly on anti-insult laws. What do you make of that?
Yeah, thank you. That's a very important, good observation because that's the last paragraph of the statement. And in the middle part, if you look at the middle section of the press release, as I said, in any press release, you look at the head, what was intended for, they address straight away to the international community. Next minute, they came in to try to justify the statement. They have not even withdrawn the statement by saying that because of what is happening. But the president is the person who commits these offenses in the Venus. The president is known for, especially, he's very good doing that in Mandinka, in Wolof, and this by what we call in Wolof Garawali. Using Venus to address his colleagues or the national leaders or people or group of people. And the insults, we have seen evidence of the president sitting in his presence, that in his on the platform that they create, in national platforms, and people come on those platforms and insult. We have seen that evidence. And what next? We see those citizens would next minute be taking going to visit the State House. What importance those people have? Everybody is important, but in this. What does it tell us? That after insulting people, you go and take a photo, go and take photographs with the president. What are you trying to tell us? The presidents are aware what's happening. It's on his platform. But again, it's the same president doing the divisive politics by inviting tribes. At the State House to address tribes. Why do you not address women as the gender? Why not as a demography? Why not address youths as a demography? Why not address regions due to probably the concerns about the region? Why not address environment? Why not address the people of Congo because of the environment damage in the Congo? These things, he's not doing that. He's the one doing the divisive politics. But he turned it around again and revealed his intentions. And still to qualify to say that I will work with Parliament. We have enough laws. We have enough laws to regulate the behavior of human beings. We live in a democracy. Nobody has the rights to insult you. Nobody has the right to fabricate. If they do that, there's a law for you to take this course. But again, if the leaders, especially the president, conduct himself, that will be a shining example, and the other national leaders would have no other choice but to follow, and the youths will follow through that. But once the president is behaving in that manner, we don't expect any change. What he's saying that he wants to create laws to make it easy for him to clamp down on people. but not calm down himself, because he's committing offenses which are which are not being calmed down on.
Yeah, and part of the argument of this on social media or amongst Gambians is that what this government think is that they handed freedom of expression to the Gambians when in fact it was earned by them.
Thank you very much. That's a very important point. They keep on saying it. And I heard the president propaganda saying that, under his rule, we have freedom of, that's not true. Gambians fought for that. And always in any country, it's not the leaders that give us our freedom, it's the people that fight for their freedom. And once we achieve this freedom, yes, it's for government to maintain. But government maintain that based on the powers vested on them by the electorates, through the laws, through the constitution, through the budget, the financing. To make sure the government runs properly. The responsibility he has is to maintain what we have achieved. But so far, he is posing the risk onto that. He doesn't want us, from the beginning. When Halifa Saleh first talked about, that regime change have happened, but system change have not happened. The State House came out with a press statement. Attack Honorable Halifa Saleh's position.
Yeah, not only the State House, but he was dragged online by some Gambians, in fact, for saying that.
Yeah. And secondly, Dr. Cisse made comment. And when Dr. Cisse was not even a politician, he was a political science lecturer, made an observation. And based on that observation, the president came out very angrily to address a professional for sharing his opinion or an expert opinion. That tells us the president doesn't have the tolerance that they're trying to portray in the press release. But it went on the president coming out, not only him, and people around him. And we have had him attacking now. He fought against intellectuals. He goes on to say that PhD holders and everything else. Gambia, we are in a big trouble. Until we recognize this, Adam Barrow is not a solution to this country. We have to be ready, to engage in a very civil manner to make sure these elections are free and fair and are peaceful, and in order to bring about change. And that change is not enough, but to make sure the change will start to transform this country. If we continue in this manner, these elections are likely to be, very violent. And if that happens, may God forbid, the Gambia might be destabilized in a very bad way, because we have to remember that we never had a security sector reform, and we are in the middle of pandemic, and there are a lot of things going on, and other countries don't have our time now. They have given us enough support, and still we cannot shut ourselves out.
And finally, before I let you go, Mr. Suwareh, I don't know if you've followed the most recent Afrobarometer report, where they in fact are saying that 60% of Gambians believe that this country is heading into the wrong direction. What do you think of this survey? Do you agree with it?
I completely agree. And I think the survey is very conservative. I don't know where they get the other 40% from that agree that the country is going in the right direction. Because I can tell you for matter of fact, Gambia is a very small district. It's our own families supporting the president. Behind the scenes, they will tell you. They know that things are not right. You don't need any, and that's the beauty of the Gambia, the smallness of Gambia. You don't need anybody else to tell you what's happened in the Gambia. We live it, whether you are in the Gambia or outside the Gambia. Because in the diaspora here, whatever happens in the Gambia, we are consulted to try to fix it. We are not consulted when it comes to other things, but whenever there's a trouble, we are consulted. We are going to fundraisings or try to do something to do it. Or we pick it up, in fact. We don't even wait to be called upon. The healthcare system, we all have seen, how bad it is. Yes, it was really bad in the time of Jammeh. In 1995, 2015, I visited Senegal. I was in Senegal. I went to a hospital, and half of the ward was comprised of Gambians. These are the Gambians who could afford to travel to this thing. But since this government came, they have enough time and enough resources to turn this around. But it got worse on the other hand. We talk about education. Since this government come into this thing, we have not had about a review of our education system. They have never revealed anything, whether the curriculum or where we're going about this. There's no strategic plan to move us up. The little gains we even had, we have lost that. We have seen Gambian students struggling to pay for college, to enter colleges. And if we have our priorities right, even going to college in the Gambia mostly should be free, because these are our teachers, these are our nurses, these are our agriculturists, these are everything else. Where do we spend this money? In procuring vehicles, because of that's where the corruption is. We have seen the situation of lack of job creation. The government does not have a strategic development plan. The national development plan has been solved. Now everything is President Barrow development plan. How can you have a country run on a personal project? Everything else is to enter in President Barrow. This government don't talk about the national development plan, and this was what we had to say that this is how the government is going to be. The economy is going to be rebuilt. But where's the rebuilding of this economy? Tourism is completely dead. The tourism minister is in award. Nobody hear or see him. He's under investigation at the National Assembly. Agriculture, we have seen the problems with agriculture. They are not thinking about these things. The fertilizer scandal again. We had second fertilizer scandal. Corruption, it's just normalized. Everything else is a problem in that country. What can you look at to say that at least, not the standard of living, what can one look at to say that the country is progressing? We don't build countries by just building roads and bridges. It starts with human beings. If we cannot build our people, if we cannot build our social capitals, if we cannot build our human resource capital, how are we going to transform that country? If the people are not well, if the people cannot feed themselves, if the people are not in peace with each other, how can we build that country? But and you look at the so-called infrastructure development, everything that have been from the concept developed and been delivered under Adama Barrow have failed. From the Hakalan and others, the ones that have been successful are concept developed from the time of the dictator. Yes, I am against the dictator with the concept, the roads, even the Chinese projects where the concept started negotiations during the dictatorship. Now Barrow cannot have a single project that have been designed by his government and delivered by his government and become successful. The example is the Banyan projects. We all know that $35 million, is so much money that Banyan could have been transformed. What we have? Concrete roads, and that would not last for another 2 years. This is the problem we have. That's why I said, where did they get the 40% from? That is conservative. And yes, in every survey you have that. People will tell you what you want to hear at times, but not or they will tell you an opinion. That's not even true to themselves. But the reality is on the ground.
Thank you very much, Ben, for once again coming through to the FATU Network.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, that will be it for News Review today. Do join us on Monday if you can. Thank you very much for watching and have a good day.